Admin report 18917, proposed zoning amendment to allow a liquor license in C1 zone. Councillor Christensen, no, you went away. Now you're back. Councillor, nope.
I didn't.
Any takers?
I want to.
Do you want to talk?
I want to talk.
You want to talk? Oh.
You haven't.
I'm not doing good at this. There's too many buttons here.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm not going to make this recommendation because I'd like to ask questions about it first.
Well, how about we put it on the floor here?
I won't even put that on the floor until I answer my questions, until I ask my questions. Is anybody wanting to move that?
Don't we have to move it to be able to speak to
We
it?
do, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to speak to it, but not under that recommendation.
Well, I would make the recommendation and then allow Councillor Bowen to speak to it.
We need it on the floor. Do we not?
Director of Legislative and Administrative Services.
I'm waiting for a light to pop up so I know which one to hit here. There we go. Director of long title.
The proposed recommendation should be moved and seconded, which would allow it to be discussed. And if council so chose, then they could defeat the resolution and provide an amending one.
Got a mover, need a seconder.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Yep, a second.
It's been moved and seconded.
For discussion.
For discussion.
Councillor Boland?
Thanks, Your Worship. This takes me back to another zoning issue that we had on a very similar piece of property off of 111th Street. There was a 4.5 acre piece of property there that they wanted to change the zoning of it for because it's been this bare piece of land that sat there forever, not unlike this one or other ones in the community. My issue with this is, and I get some of the concerns as far as it being a residential neighborhood, it's a proposed 3,000 square foot general grocery store, convenience store, and a 3,000 square foot liquor store. Has conversation been had with the proponent? If we're not willing to add liquor store to our C1, are we willing to change the zoning of that particular piece of property, or will it fit with another zoning? And the reason I say that is with the changes that have been coming with liquor stores and with the distribution or sales of liquor, in 5 years or in 10 years' time, we could very well find liquor stores inside of convenience stores anyways.
Grocery stores.
When I look at other communities, you know, I don't see a lot in BC, but Alberta side, Grand Prairie, Red Deer, Okotoks, Airdrie, a lot of community neighborhood parcels like this include convenience stores and include smaller liquor stores and include car washes and gas stations, and I really think that maybe part and parcel of that is just not the correct zoning on that piece. Yes, there's houses directly to the north of it. There's a hospital with a ton of development that could be happening to the immediate east of it. And I'm not in favor of stopping this because I truly believe that we need to start looking at these little pocket sections as far as convenience stores, and if that happened, you know what? I'm not a big drinker, so I can't speak one way or the other the liquor store side. But to me, the option of having those services there for that whole community is brilliant. So my question is there could we look at this being another zoning and go through a zoning change process versus just shutting this down and walking away from what's going to be another vacant piece of land, just like the one at the corner of 114A and 100th Street, just like the one at the corner of 111th Street and what would be 104th Ave or 103rd Ave, right? All these that were designed for these corner stores that don't meet the mark of a corner store because people want to have additional services with them.
So if I could.
Yeah. City Manager?
Thank you, Your Worship. There's two strategies that you can utilize with regards to this issue. The first is what is before you today, is that you put it as a permitted use within the zone. That means all property zone C1 would be permitted with a liquor store in the C1 zone,
against.
right? The other option is that you, what we call a spot zone. The property, you deal with just this one specific property find the zone that allows this applicant the ability to have a liquor store in it, which then may open up that lot to uses you may not want to see in a commercial area, because the C2, C3, et cetera, becomes more highway commercial and more often located in highly commercialized areas. So those are the two strategies. One is really about looking at it for a C1 zone, and then it applies to all the other C1 properties. It's my understanding we have very few C1 properties. We have maybe 3 or 2. I mean, we almost to the point you wonder, that would beg the question: do we need a C1 or a modified? But at this particular point, we do have 2 additional properties in the community that are C1. We're also going through a zoning bylaw. Once you've adopted your official community plan, that's followed with a zoning bylaw. At that time, there's going to be a look at all our zones and perhaps modifications to a significant number of them to more modernize our zoning bylaw. But for this particular applicant, for this particular case, his request is to allow it within the C1 zone. The other 2 properties, Renee, could you refresh my mind where they are? I think we have one in the downtown area. No?
Thank you. The convenience store right by the high school is C1. And the vacant property just north of the Mormon Church is C1.
Just north of where?
The Mormon Church.
On 100th
On
Avenue.
100th Street.
100th Street and 114 Ave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that those are the only 3 C1 properties.
So did we change that zoning to C1 on that property when we did that zoning change?
Yes.
So we went from to a C1.
I don't remember. Sorry.
Do you know? So the question is, do you want to have liquor stores in a C1 knowing you've got one of the properties across from the high school? So that may or may not be a relevant factor. Councillor Boland is correct that liquor licenses and liquor establishments are becoming more mainstream. In many jurisdictions, they're right in grocery stores and inconvenience stores. So it's really a decision for council to make whether you'd want to consider this or apply, ask the applicant to come back and apply with the appropriate zone that would allow a liquor store. So that would be your 2 decisions: defeat this motion with a recommendation that the applicant come back with another zoning application for a zone that currently allows it, or you support this motion, or defeat it altogether and just wait till the zoning, the major zoning bylaw review.
For myself, what I had flagged is just as a concern. I didn't see the ask of a liquor store and a convenience store as too much of an issue within that area for much of what Councillor Boland has stated. My concern really was in a traffic scenario, because it's right on that traffic circle. So how does that work as far as just flow in, flow out of 112th being very, very busy compared to what it used to be already with the hospital and potential of a growth in that area? I realize that the applicant, and there's a map within here that has the zoning or the radius of where liquor stores are allowed. So this is outside of those radiuses. It makes sense to ask for that, and I get why that ask is there, because it is then servicing a new section. That was the map there, new section of our community, and it's not a bar. For personally, if we're looking at across the street from the high school, to me it's an easy no. In this area, it's an empty lot right now, and there's very little potential for a house to be there as far as I can see or anything like that. So,
This particular lot is zoned commercial. So the traffic pattern, yes, with the different, with the addition of a liquor store, there will be additional traffic anticipated, but not much more than just with the convenience store. The real issue is, do you want all C1 zones? Because this changing it to allow liquor stores in a C1 does impact 2 other properties in the community. And so thank you, Victor, for those locations. So if you want to make a change just for this property, then that's a different process. That's just asking for a C2 or C3 zone. C2?
C3 or C4?
C3.
C3 or C4?
The convenience store at 100th Street and 110th Avenue is C3, and the convenience store at 90th Street and 100th Avenue is C3.
Your worship, through you to the city manager, what I'd like to do is I would like to defeat this motion. I would like to have staff go back to the proponent and discuss if he's interested in going through the process of a zoning change, which is what I believe should happen, and I believe that should happen because that will open up a public process. So those people living in that neighborhood, such as Panorama or Whispering Winds, can have their fair say in what's going to go on there. And I think this route doesn't give us that ability to engage the public, and that's the crucial piece we're missing. So I'd like to defeat the motion and then turn it back to staff for that conversation with the proponent,
Okay.
if everyone's in favor.
Any other questions or comments here on what's in front of us? Okay, are you prepared to just call the question then?
Yes, please. Oh.
We'd need two separate resolutions, please, because
Yes.
you have one on the
First
floor
defeat.
right now.
Yeah, we have to defeat this, though, correct? Or we have to vote on this first. Okay. Call the question. All in favor of the motion that's on the floor? Those opposed? Motion is defeated. Did you get? I thought I did. There you go.
Thanks,
Councilor Boland.
thanks, Your Worship. I will make the motion for the city planning department to go back to the proponent for discussion as far as rezoning for this piece of property in order to accommodate a C3 or C4 zoning, which would allow what his plans are requested in this, and then the process from there.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you.